right, let's take a deep dive today into cybersecurity. Specifically, we're going to be talking about botnets. And from the research I've been doing on this, it's a really complex landscape. We're not just going to unpack like the basics here, but how these things are kind of evolving and what truly cutting edge defense looks like today.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is that, botnets have kind of moved beyond just your average computer. We're seeing a rise in botnets that are targeting Internet of Things devices, IoT devices. So think like smart refrigerators, security cameras,
Oh, wow.
even industrial control systems, all potentially becoming, puppets in a cybercriminals show.
Okay, that is a little unsettling. My smart fridge launching a DDoS attack. That's not in the brochure. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's back up for a second. How does a simple device even become part of a botnet in the first place? I know it has something to do with malware, but it's not like I'm downloading, sketchy apps onto my thermostat.
Right, right. It's often more insidious than that. So think about like vulnerabilities in software. Even a seemingly harmless device needs, software updates. And if those updates aren't applied, a botnet can actually exploit those weaknesses to inject its malicious code.
So it's kind of like leaving the back door to your house unlocked.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. And once that door's open, the botnet can then install malware that turns the device into a bot. And this malware is often very sophisticated, using techniques like polymorphism and encryption to make it harder for traditional security software to even detect it.
Polymorphism, now that sounds like something out of a science fiction movie. What exactly does that mean in the context of malware?
Imagine a chameleon constantly changing its colors to blend in with its surroundings. Polymorphic malware does something similar. It alters its code each time it spreads, making it much harder for security software to recognize it based on its signature.
So it's like the malware is wearing a disguise to kind of sneak past security checkpoints.
Exactly, yeah.
And encryption, how does that factor into all of this?
So encryption is like it's like putting the malware's communication in a secret code. It scrambles the data that the bot sends and receives, making it much harder to decipher and understand what the botnet is actually doing.
Wow, these cyber criminals are getting really creative here. It sounds like we're going to need more than just basic antivirus software to combat these evolving threats.
Absolutely. And this is where, advanced tools and strategies come into play. For instance, here at Stonefly, we offer AI-powered appliances that use machine learning to actually analyze network traffic and spot these hidden threats. So instead of looking for a specific signature, they look for unusual patterns and behaviors that might indicate botnet activity.
Okay, so it sounds like we're going to need to be smarter than the malware itself.
Yeah.
Um, you mentioned that these compromised devices become part of a larger network. How does the botnet operator actually control this army of bots? I mean, it's not like they're sending out individual emails with instructions, right?
Right, that's right. This is where the concept of command and control servers comes in, or CNC servers. Think of it as the botnet operator's headquarters. It's a central point from which they issue commands to the bots and receive information back.
Okay, so it's like a general directing their troops from a war room.
Yeah.
What kind of instructions are we talking about here? What are these bots actually being commanded to do?
So it can range from something as disruptive as a distributed denial of service attack, DDoS attack, where they flood a target website with traffic to overwhelm its servers and basically take it offline.
Right, right. I've heard about those. They can cripple businesses and even critical services.
Exactly, exactly. But it can also be, more insidious, like stealing sensitive data from infected devices. Think banking credentials, credit card numbers, personal information, all being siphoned off without the user even knowing.
That's scary. So we've got these bots lurking in the shadows, following orders from their CNC server overlord. How do we even begin to detect that something's wrong? I mean, if the malware is disguised and the communication is encrypted, it seems like finding a needle in a haystack.
It's definitely a challenge, but not impossible. Traditional security measures like signature-based detection can still play a role, but we need to go beyond that. And this is where network traffic analysis, anomaly detection, and behavioral analysis come into play.
Okay, break that down for me. What are we actually looking for here?
Sure, so network traffic analysis involves monitoring the flow of data on your network, looking for unusual spikes or patterns that might indicate botnet activity. For instance, a sudden surge in outgoing traffic from a device that normally doesn't send much data. That could be a red flag.
So it's like noticing a sudden increase in your water bill and suspecting a leak.
Precisely, yeah. And then there's anomaly detection, which is all about spotting deviations from normal behavior. If a device that usually only connects to a few specific servers suddenly starts communicating with a bunch of unfamiliar ones, that's an anomaly worth investigating.
Makes sense. And what about behavioral analysis? How does that differ from anomaly detection?
So behavioral analysis takes it a step further. It looks at the way a device is acting rather than just where it's communicating. For example, is it downloading or uploading large amounts of data at unusual times? Is it trying to access restricted resources? These behaviors can be strong indicators of botnet infection.
So it's like noticing that your usually quiet neighbor is suddenly having loud parties every night. Something's definitely up.
Yeah.
But how do we actually monitor for all of this? I mean, is someone sitting there watching network traffic 24/7?
Thankfully, no. That's where sophisticated tools come in. Our AI-powered appliances can automate much of this analysis, constantly monitoring network traffic and flagging any suspicious activity for further investigation.
That's good to know. We'll definitely have to dive deeper into those solutions a little bit later on. But for now, let's shift gears and talk about what we can actually do to protect ourselves from these botnets. I mean, it's one thing to detect them, but how do we actually stop them from getting a foothold in the first place?
Right, and that's where a multi-layered approach to cybersecurity is essential. We need to strengthen our defenses at every level, from individual devices to the entire network.
Okay, let's unpack that. What are some of the key layers in this defense strategy?
So one of the most fundamental layers is fortifying network security. This involves implementing next-generation firewalls that can intelligently filter traffic and block malicious connections. It also means segmenting your network into smaller, isolated zones to limit the spread of infection in case one device is compromised.
So it's like building walls and moats around your digital kingdom.
Exactly, exactly. But we also need to focus on enhancing endpoint security. This means ensuring that individual devices are protected with robust antivirus software that can detect and block botnet malware. It also involves implementing host-based intrusion detection systems that monitor for suspicious activity on the device itself.
So it's like having guards posted at every gate and patrolling the streets. But even with all these defenses in place, is it really possible to completely eliminate the risk of a botnet attack?
Unfortunately, no security system is foolproof, but we can significantly reduce the risk by implementing these measures and by staying vigilant. And just as important is having a plan in place for what to do if an attack happens.
That's a good point. Let's delve into that. What are some of the critical steps in preparing for and responding to a potential botnet attack? What should individuals and organizations be doing to minimize the damage?
One of the most important things is to have a robust incident response plan. This document outlines the steps to take in the event of an attack, ensuring a coordinated and effective response.
So it's like having a fire escape plan for your digital assets.
Precisely, yeah. But beyond that, we need to make sure we're strengthening access controls. This involves implementing multi-factor authentication to add an extra layer of security to user accounts, and utilizing privileged access management to control and monitor access to sensitive systems.
So we're essentially limiting the botnet's ability to move around and cause damage, even if it manages to get a foothold.
Yeah.
But what about our data? How do we protect that in case of an attack?
Right, and that's where data resilience comes in. We need to ensure regular, air-gapped, and immutable backups of our data. Immutability ensures that backups cannot be modified or deleted, even by a botnet. And by storing those backups off-site, we add an extra layer of redundancy.
It sounds like having a secure vault for our most valuable information. But what about ongoing vigilance? What role does that play in our overall defense strategy?
Continuous vigilance is essential. This involves ongoing network traffic monitoring to detect unusual patterns, regular audits to identify potential vulnerabilities, and the use of sandbox environments to analyze suspicious files or activities safely.
So we need to be constantly on the lookout, like a digital neighborhood watch. I know you mentioned that Stonefly offers solutions for some of these advanced techniques like sandbox environments. Can you tell us a bit more about those?
Absolutely. For advanced log analysis and threat mitigation, we offer AI Log Pro X1 and AI Sandbox Hub. These tools can significantly enhance your ability to detect and analyze potential botnet activity, allowing you to take swift action and prevent widespread damage.
That's great to know. I think we've covered a lot of ground here. So far, we've learned that botnets are a serious and evolving threat, but there are steps we can take to protect ourselves.
Yeah, you've got it. By understanding how botnets operate, implementing robust security measures, and staying vigilant, we can significantly reduce our risk.
And if you're looking for robust data protection solutions, be sure to visit our website at www.stonefly.com or contact our sales team at sales@stonefly.com. We're here to help you navigate the complex world of cybersecurity and keep your data safe from botnet threats. Now let's continue our deep dive and explore some real-world examples of botnet attacks.
What's important to note is that, these attacks aren't just hypothetical scenarios. Botnets have been responsible for some of the most disruptive cyber attacks in history.
Okay, so let's talk about some real-world examples. What are some cases where botnets have really wreaked havoc?
One of the most notorious examples is the Mirai botnet. Back in 2016, it was used to launch a massive DDoS attack against DIN, a major DNS provider.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. Didn't that cause widespread internet outages?
Absolutely, yeah. It disrupted access to major websites and online services across the United States and Europe for hours. It really showed the world just how much damage a well-coordinated botnet attack can inflict.
Right, it's a stark reminder of how vulnerable we are to these threats. But DDoS attacks aren't the only weapon in a botnet's arsenal, are they?
Not at all. Take the Zeus botnet, for instance. In the early 2010s, it infected millions of computers worldwide, and it was used to steal vast amounts of financial data, including banking credentials and credit card numbers.
So not only can these botnets disrupt our lives,
Yeah.
but they can also, drain our bank accounts. It's a double whammy. It makes you realize how important it is to protect our financial information in this digital age.
Absolutely, yeah. And the threat is constantly evolving. Cybercriminals are always finding new ways to use botnets for their malicious purposes.
You mentioned evolving threats. What are some of the latest trends you're seeing in the world of botnets?
One trend we're seeing is the rise of IoT botnets. As more and more devices become connected to the internet, they become potential targets for botnet recruitment. We're seeing attacks targeting smart homes, connected cars, even critical infrastructure.
It's kind of unsettling to think that our homes and vehicles could be hijacked as part of a cyber attack. What are the implications of this shift towards IoT botnets?
Well, it means the potential for disruption is even greater than before. Imagine a botnet taking control of thousands of connected cars, causing traffic chaos,
Yeah.
or disrupting the power grid by targeting industrial control systems.
It's like something out of a science fiction dystopia. It
Yeah.
seems like these botnets are becoming more powerful and pervasive all the time.
Yeah.
What can we do to counter these evolving threats?
We need to adopt a more proactive and comprehensive approach to cybersecurity. Traditional security measures are important, but we need to go beyond that. We need to leverage cutting-edge technologies like artificial intelligence and machine learning to help us detect and respond to botnet activity in real time.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of buzz about AI and machine learning and cybersecurity. How are these technologies actually being used to combat botnets specifically?
So these technologies are incredibly powerful because they can analyze vast amounts of data and identify patterns that humans might miss. For instance, machine learning algorithms can be trained to detect unusual network traffic patterns that might indicate botnet activity, even if the traffic is encrypted or disguised.
So it's like having a digital detective constantly monitoring our networks, looking for clues that we might not even know to look for.
Exactly. And the beauty of AI is that it can learn and adapt over time. As new botnet tactics emerge, these algorithms can be trained to recognize them and respond accordingly.
That's pretty impressive. So we've got these AI-powered systems analyzing data. But what about actually taking action against these threats? Can AI help us automate our response to botnet attacks?
Absolutely. AI can be used to automatically isolate infected devices, block malicious traffic, and even remediate threats in real time. This rapid response capability is crucial for minimizing the impact of botnet attacks.
Right. So it sounds like AI is becoming an indispensable tool in the cybersecurity arsenal. But what about the human element? Do we still need cybersecurity professionals if AI is taking over so much of the work?
Absolutely. While AI can automate many tasks, it's important to remember that it's a tool, not a replacement for human expertise. Cybersecurity professionals are still needed to analyze threats, develop strategies, and make informed decisions.
So it's a partnership between humans and technology. What advice would you give to individuals and organizations looking to strengthen their defenses against botnets in this age of increasingly sophisticated attacks?
The key is to adopt a multi-layered approach that combines strong security measures with cutting-edge technologies and proactive monitoring.
Okay, that sounds like a solid strategy. Can you break down some of the specific steps that individuals and organizations can take to implement this multi-layered approach?
Of course. It starts with the basics. Uh, Keeping systems patched and updated is crucial to close known vulnerabilities that botnets exploit. Using strong, unique passwords and enabling multi-factor authentication wherever possible helps protect accounts from compromise. Being wary of phishing attempts and suspicious links or attachments is essential to prevent malware infection.
Those are all great tips for individuals.
All right.
What about organizations? What are some additional measures they should be taking?
Organizations need to focus on fortifying their network security by implementing next-generation firewalls and network segmentation. They should also prioritize endpoint security by deploying robust antivirus software and host-based intrusion detection systems. And of course, having a well-defined incident response plan is crucial for responding effectively to any attacks that do occur.
It sounds like a lot to keep track of, but it seems like a worthwhile investment considering the potential consequences of a botnet attack. Earlier, you mentioned that Stonefly offers a range of solutions designed to help organizations protect themselves from these threats. Can you tell us a bit more about those?
Absolutely. We offer a suite of AI-powered appliances that provide advanced threat detection, analysis, and response capabilities. These appliances use machine learning to analyze network traffic, identify anomalies, and alert security teams to potential botnet activity. They also offer automated response capabilities to help contain threats and minimize damage.
For our listeners who are interested in learning more about these solutions, where can they find more information?
You can visit our website at www.stonefly.com or contact our sales team directly at sales@stonefly.com. We're happy to discuss your specific security needs and how our solutions can help protect your organization from botnet attacks.
That's great to know. I think we've covered a lot of ground in terms of understanding botnets, their impact, and how to defend against them. Now let's shift gears a bit and dive into some specific techniques that botnets use to infiltrate systems and evade detection. These are the tricks of the trade that cybercriminals rely on to build and control their botnet armies. So let's lift the curtain a bit and expose some of these techniques. What are some of the most common ways botnets manage to, slip past our defenses and infect devices in the first place?
Well, one of the oldest tricks in the book, but still surprisingly effective, is phishing.
Phishing, right?
Yeah.
That's where you get those emails that look like they're from your bank or legitimate company.
Exactly, exactly. These emails are crafted to trick you into clicking a malicious link or opening an infected attachment, and they're getting more sophisticated all the time. It might look completely convincing, but that click can actually download malware that turns your device into a bot.
It's amazing how many people still fall for these scams. But beyond phishing, what are some other techniques that botnets employ?
Another common method is exploiting vulnerabilities in software. You might have outdated software on your computer or phone, and you haven't installed the latest security patch. Cybercriminals are constantly scanning for these weaknesses, and they can use them to inject malicious code onto your device without you even knowing it.
So it's like leaving a window open in your house, an invitation for trouble. What about those drive-by downloads I've heard about? Are those still a thing?
Absolutely. Drive-by downloads happen when you visit a compromised website, and malicious code is automatically downloaded and installed on your device without your knowledge or consent. You might not even have to click anything. Just visiting the site is enough to get infected.
That's unsettling. It seems like we're surrounded by potential threats. But once a device is infected, how do botnets manage to stay hidden? I mean, surely our security software should be able to detect them, right?
Well, remember those techniques we talked about earlier, like polymorphism and encryption?
Right.
Cybercriminals are using these to make their malware more stealthy and harder to detect. Polymorphic malware constantly changes its code to avoid signature-based detection, while encryption scrambles the communication between the bot and the CNC server, making it difficult to analyze and understand.
So they're essentially using our own technology against us,
Yeah.
cloaking their malicious activities in secrecy. It sounds like a constant arms race between the good guys and the bad guys. But let's say we suspect that a device might be infected. What are some signs that we should be looking for?
There are a few telltale signs. You might notice a sudden increase in network traffic from the device, even when you're not actively using it. Or the device might be running slower than usual or behaving erratically. You might also see unusual processes running in the background or unexplained error messages popping up.
So it's like noticing that your car is making strange noises or consuming more fuel than usual, a sign that something's not right under the hood. But let's say we confirm that a device has been infected. What steps should we take to clean it up and prevent the botnet from spreading?
The first step is to isolate the infected device from the network. Disconnect it from the internet and any other devices to prevent the botnet from spreading further. Then run a full system scan using a reputable antivirus program. Make sure your antivirus software is up to date to ensure it can detect the latest threats.
So it's like quarantining a patient to prevent the spread of a contagious disease.
Yeah.
But what if the antivirus software doesn't detect anything? Does that mean we're in the clear?
Not necessarily. Some botnet malware is designed to be very stealthy and can evade detection by traditional antivirus programs. And in those cases, you might need to use a specialized malware removal tool or even seek help from a cybersecurity professional.
It sounds like dealing with botnets can be a bit like playing whack-a-mole. As soon as you think you've eliminated one threat, another one pops up. What are some long-term strategies for reducing our overall risk and staying ahead of these evolving threats?
One key strategy is to adopt a zero trust security model. This approach assumes that no user or device can be trusted by default and requires verification at every stage of access. It's like having multiple layers of security checks at every door in your house.
So it's about being extra cautious and not taking anything for granted. What are some other proactive measures we can take?
Regularly updating software and patching vulnerabilities is essential. Using strong passwords and enabling multi-factor authentication helps protect accounts from unauthorized access. Educating users about cybersecurity threats and best practices is crucial to help them make informed decisions and avoid risky behavior. And of course, investing in robust security solutions that leverage advanced technologies like AI and machine learning can significantly enhance your ability to detect and respond to botnet threats.
Those are all excellent tips. It seems like staying safe in the digital world requires a combination of vigilance, common sense, and the right tools for the job. And speaking of tools, I know we've mentioned Stonefly's data protection solutions a few times throughout this deep dive. For our listeners who are interested in learning more, can you tell us where they can find more information?
Absolutely. You can visit our website at www.stonefly.com or contact our sales team directly at sales@stonefly.com. We'd be happy to discuss your specific security needs and how our solutions can help protect you from the ever-evolving threat of botnets.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the world of botnets from their basic operations to their potential impact, and we've discussed a wide range of strategies for detecting, mitigating, and preventing these threats. It's clear that botnets are a force to be reckoned with in the digital landscape, but with the right knowledge and tools, we can defend ourselves and stay safe in this interconnected world. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of botnets. Stay vigilant and stay safe out there.